Hi, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Laurie. I am a San Diego-based technical writer and instructional designer, and I'm also a self-published author. That's why you see 3 books on the screen. This is a reenactment of a presentation that I gave at the Society for Technical Communications on June 13th, of this year. And a lot of people requested it and couldn't be present, and so I'm recording it as a webinar to give to people to be able to enjoy and learn on demand. So let's go ahead and get started. My presentation is called Digital Inspiration with Snagit version 10. Version 11 had not come out when I did this presentation originally, so that's why it's on version 10, but there isn't anything that we're going to be talking about today that you can't do in version 11 as well, and it should be pretty similar. Our agenda is the Snagit capture tool is actually broken up into the capture tool piece, an editor component, and a library. And the library is another view within the editor, and then the capture tool, I'll just bring that up so you can see what that is. This is the actual piece that I'm calling the capture tool. So we're going to talk about profiles, which I find are really, really powerful ways to put together a set of standards for your images, and then you can create a hotkey combination, or you can use the one-click option to just powerfully capture screens, and they will already have a frame around them if you want, a frame or border, edging effects, and other things like that. You can reduce the image size across the board as you do your captures. So they're very, very powerful ways to really get a lot done in Snagit with very little effort. And then batch conversions is a way to take a lot of images. In particular, I just had a project where I was doing WebExes to actually record SME conversations and interactions with the computer, and then I would make screenshots off of those WebExes, and I was importing them into RoboHelp. Well, they were coming across really large for some reason, so I found I had a need to do a batch conversion of all the images that I had already created, and to reduce the size of them at least to 85% across the board. And so I used the batch conversion tools to be able to do that. Another thing we're going to talk about is accessories. And so I'll tell you about some accessories that you can use with the capture tool. Then we'll talk about the editor, and we're going to talk specifically about how to use stamps and how to obtain them, how to create transparencies. That's one area where Snagit does not have any specific directions, and so I had to cull directions out of reading several different pages in their online help system, and I could never remember how to do it. So in the course of preparing for this, I've now written down my own steps so that I'll remember. I just don't use transparencies that often. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is image gallery web pages, and what that is an easy tool for you to take a lot of graphics and create a web page, and you have a variety of output options as to how you want to see that web page look, but it does it for you. It does all the coding. You don't have to individually create tables and bring in large images and then bring in a smaller image. You could do that all in just a series of 4 short dialog boxes. The last area we're going to be looking at is the library, and we're going to talk about tagging and flagging images, and those are ways for you to be able to group images together and easily be able to call them up as a group and pull them up and work on them. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this discussion today. So profiles, this is what the profiles standard options look like when you open up Snagit just out of the box. And so it creates a variety of different options for you to use. The way that you create a profile is you take one of these existing options and then you save it using the plus bar, and we're going to actually go through that in a minute. So what you do is first you save it as the plus bar, and then you go ahead and you make changes to it. And we'll go through the types of changes that you can make here. So you can customize the input of all your screen captures. You can decide if it's going to be a region, a full-size capture. There are lots of different options you can select here. You can select the output, which can be a file type such as a Word graphic, an email. I think FTP is another option. We'll go through all of that. You can set up the effects, which include the image size, a border, a caption, resolution. You can also do some color options as well. And then the last area is called options, and that's where you can decide if you want to keep your mouse cursor on, if you want to keep web links active, and some other options too. So we'll go through and look at all those. And I use profiles to create the ability to get captures of various resolutions and sizes, to add a border to them, to add edge effects, and I set hotkeys for them so that I can easily just click and I've got my capture set up the way that I want to do it. And before I learned to do this, every single image I had to go in and resize. I had to go in and add a border. I had to go in and add a lot of different options. So once I found out how to do this, it made me very happy. I just can't tell you. For example, what I have set up on my computer is Control-Alt-B reduces an image 75% with a 1-point border, and it previews it automatically in the editor. And then my Control-Alt-R is set up as a regular capture with it's actually a region capture with no effects, and it previews in the editor. So I'm going to go into go into Captivate and do that, show you how to do that right now. So I'm going to select all-in-one as my capture profile that I want to work with. So I select that, and then I go to the green arrow and I save it as a new profile. And I'm going to call it, I'll just call it my all-in-one. And I'm going to create a hotkey combination with it, and for me, I do Control-Alt, and then I usually give it an alpha character, and I'm going to save it. So I've now saved that as one of the components of my personal profile. And the next thing I'm going to do, excuse me, I'm having a little trouble with my voice, is go down to input and look at some of the other options that I can choose. I can choose to include cursor, I can keep links, I can look at the properties and go through and here and make a lot of other choices about how I want this profile to be. And then anytime I use this profile, whatever choices I've selected are going to be the ones that show up here. So I'm not going to do anything with that particular thing. What I like is output. If you look under output, you can select that it'll go immediately to the printer. It can go to the clipboard so that you don't have to copy it to the clipboard as a special step. You can copy it, or you can actually save it as a file. You can do it in email, an FTP program, other programs, Excel, Word, Screencast, PowerPoint. And also here is the option to preview it in the editor, and I always have this on because I want to go and look at it before I save it or before I copy and paste it into something else. And another thing is you can go to the TechSmith Snagit site, and under accessories you can add in additional output options. So some of the newest output options I noticed that they created